For exclusive content that Shikama offers, join us over at Patreon as supporter of the Shikama Live Show. That's video content you won't see on YouTube that can help you grow and maintain your wealth, financial education wrapped up in plain English, and video series of interesting and thought-provoking topics. Join us at bit.ly/PatronShack. It's the first link in the information box. I don't know if I've spoken on this before specifically, but systematically the medical community makes the rounds to destroy anything other than Western medicine. And what does that word Western medicine mean? It means that you treat the symptoms that somebody has indefinitely and charge them indefinitely. So anybody that claims to quote unquote cure something by law comes under the attack of the medical community. If they are directly inside the belly of the beast, like they're a medical doctor, and they're part of the AMA, which is not the 100% membership, and not all doctors are part of the AMA. It is actually a small group of the whole doctors that are in the United States. They will have their license revoked and kicked out of the AMA. Point blank. Even if they just repeat any study that suggests anything other than the practice of Western medicine, which is to treat symptoms indefinitely, including cancer, just so we're clear about this. So I was not aware, but I had never taken it. I want to talk about Airborne. So it's the case of Airborne, and they were sued, and they had to. They agreed upon $12 million payout. Now, what's really curious is when you look at the case was filed against them for wrongful advertisement. And I think if I put my defense lawyer hat on, I think what really happened is they had a very bad defense lawyer that each step of the way, they kept admitting wrongdoing. If you take an actual Airborne package, it says in fine print, not intended to treat, cure, or anything else of any disease, any symptom, right? It says it right on the package. And in fact, I believe it says it on every panel of the package. So while it says, take this at the first time as a sign of that you're going to get a cold, that means almost nothing, right? But here's the deal. Let's look at the ingredients. The ingredients are vitamins and, oh my God, herbs. And Western medicine is deadly against herbs. Anytime you mention the word herbs, any Western doctor will lose his mind, because to Western medicine, herbs are anathema. Herbs are terrible. Herbs are automatically quackery. Never mind that in China, and I've gotten this firsthand, if you go to a hospital in China, the Chinese will ask you, do you want Chinese medicine, which is herbs, or do you want Western medicine? Now, Western medicine means that you're going to have your symptoms treated through pharmaceuticals. If you go the Chinese way, they're expecting that whatever they have is to be cured. Now, that's the general consensus in China, that if you use Chinese medicine, it's going to be a bunch of herbs, and the expectation is that you will be cured and you will be out of the hospital. But there is this growing propaganda in Chinese news that Western medicine is the way to go. If you're serious, if you're a learned person, you will use Western medicine if you ever have anything wrong with you. But the expectation is that Chinese medicine actually works, which is a bunch of herbs. Now, I only know about China, but I, of course, know that most of Asia uses herbs to cure people of stuff. Herbs, poultices, and it really works. It sucks out poison, helps your wounds regenerate, helps your skin clear up from scars. And of course, a lot of times herbs are rare, because, especially to compared to the numbers of the population, right? And so if you have 1 billion people and you have only so many herbs to go around, there you have it, right? So in Asia, herbs are A-okay, perfectly fine, and there's an expectation that herbs are used when you really want to cure something. Now, I believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that herbs are far more expensive than Western medicine, because Western medicine is made in a laboratory. I know pharmaceutical companies are telling you that they spend millions and millions of dollars on pharmaceuticals, but I got a report that said the millions of dollars that they spend on developing new drugs is not for the research of the drug, nor the testing of the drug, but 75% of that millions and millions of dollars is actually spent on advertising. So it doesn't actually cost millions and millions of dollars to develop a new drug. Now, you can try and sue me all you want to. Of course, you're not going to win. I will win because I have the evidence to back me up. But that's the fact, that they spend millions and millions of dollars to advertise a drug. And on top of that, of course, they're also going to lobby the various agencies and your government. Oh my God. So what's really going on? What's really going on is that doctors are against vitamins. Now, I came across people who say, don't take vitamin supplements. They're ineffective, 100%. But if you just look at some serious medical professionals talking about the symptoms of something, somebody who actually has a certain disease, or somebody who has a condition, or somebody who has a chronic disease, invariably they're going to come out and say, because of this, the body cannot absorb these vitamins. Now, this is a doctor who does his actual research. The body cannot absorb these vitamins, so this person should be supplementing their diet with vitamin supplements. Now, why would they say that? Because the person themselves cannot break down and get the vitamins out of the food that they eat. Now, what have I said in other videos? I've said that a lot of diseases come about due to deficiencies in vitamins. And this includes deficiencies in vitamin absorption. And that's directly speaking to your diet. Now, there's all of these people who say, no, you should only get your vitamins from your food. Well, if the body is in such bad disrepair, you can't get the vitamins from the food, because that is the actual symptom or the actual cause of why you have this deficiency. The body cannot, something else is preventing, something else has developed to prevent the body from absorbing that particular vitamin, which would help and aid in curing whatever symptom or disease or condition that you have. So it's all circular. You can't absorb the vitamin. You develop something that prevents you from absorbing the vitamin. You listen to these real quacks, these hippies who say, you could only get the vitamins from what you eat, which we've already have 2 pegs in the ring. So now you go and the disease gets worse because you listen to the hippie, and the hippie says, don't take any vitamins at all, only get it from your food. Well, there you go. You start back at point 1. got a disease where I can't absorb that vitamin. So the medical doctors say you should supplement these specific vitamins for this disease, this condition, this illness, what have you. Now, I didn't think I could ever hear somebody say don't take vitamins. Now, who's saying don't take vitamins, or who's saying if you take vitamins, all you're going to end up with is expensive urine? I know you've heard this too, especially from pharmacists. All you're going to do is end up with expensive urine. Well, let's look over to the vegan-vegetarian claims that you can get vitamin D from vegetables. Oh yeah, you can get vitamin D from vegetables, but you're going to end up with expensive urine when the body evacuates plant-based vitamin D. Why? Because you can't absorb plant-based vitamin D. What does that have to do with what I'm talking about? There are two different things. There's vitamin D2, vitamin D3. Vitamin D2 comes from plants. Vitamin D3 comes from animals. There are vitamins on the market made in pharmaceutical laboratories, and the body cannot absorb that. Plant-based vitamin D2 cannot be absorbed by the body. So you end up with expensive urine. You cannot absorb pharmaceutical vitamins. You end up with expensive urine. But there are vitamins that are literally made from plants, shells, and animals. And their bioavailability approaches 100%, meaning the body absorbs it. Let's go over to vitamin D3. It is made from animals. It's animal based. I don't mean like they're crushing cows or something like that. It's animal based, and the body absorbs it 100%. The vitamin D in milk that the milk advertises as having is plant based. So you are literally thinking that you're drinking milk to get something that you're not. And it has no calcium in it. Either milk. They say drink milk if you want calcium. No, milk has calcium when it first starts out. That is before it is processed. That is before it actually gains a shelf life, where they boil it and triple boil it. It's sent on a refrigerated truck to your local store. Now it has no calcium, and it has plant-based vitamin D2, which you can't absorb, and it has not even a trace of the original calcium, because that's all been boiled out. It doesn't have a trace of anything that supposedly it was that you're drinking it for. You're literally just throwing your money away. What you should do is find an actual dairy farmer and go over there every morning, take your thermos, grab some milk, and then go about your way and drink you some raw milk. Unless it's illegal in your state and so forth and so on, yada, yada, yada. That's what you should do as far as milk. And this is why I'm against vegans and vegetarians also. Because they say, oh, you can get this. Yes, you can get this, but it's not bioavailable for human consumption. You can get protein, but you don't process that protein. And that's not the protein you need. You need animal protein. And protein is a general term. It's literally like saying food. Protein is just that general. There are thousands of quote unquote proteins. Not every protein is the same. There are thousands of quote unquote proteins that you need. And you cannot get those proteins from vegetables at all. And what's terrible is that we have these vegetarians who have no medical degree whatsoever, no nutrition degree whatsoever. And yes, I have just studied nutrition in college. They didn't know what to to do for pre-law students at my college. They didn't have a real thing, so they just threw us into everything. I have a minor in psychology, a minor in biology, a minor in accounting, a minor in about 6 different disciplines. Our pre-law students graduated with almost 50% more credits than the next major down. And they just thought, well, we'll over-educate you so that any law school would be proud to have you. So yes, I studied kinesiology, all sorts of crazy stuff, and asked them, what does this have to do? We didn't know what to do, so we just threw everything at you. And we have these vegetarians and vegans who have 0 credits in anything medical, in anything biological, trying to tell you, no, you don't need these animal proteins. You don't understand that the word protein doesn't mean something tiny and specific. It's general. It's like saying human. It's not like saying Southeastern white American. It's like saying human. You need human. Well, there's a whole bunch of humans. They don't all speak the same language. They don't all wear the same clothes. They don't all listen to the same music. And they think that they're saying something like, you need a black goth guy that listens to emo and dresses like a goth person or a punk rocker. You know, something super specific. Protein is not specific. It is general. And science has finally come out and said, we actually don't process vegetables anywhere near as efficiently as we process animal. We are omnivores. So you, as a vegetarian, if you're going to be a vegetable type vegetarian or a vegetable type vegan, you are going to have expensive urine. Yes, that's the case. If you lean towards meat, you're not going to have expensive urine. If you take laboratory-made vitamins, you're going to have expensive urine. If you take these natural, raw, plant-based, animal-based vitamins that literally just packs the plants or animals or shells into the vitamin, they're going to be approaching 100% bioavailability, which means your body will process them and you will not end up with expensive urine. The people against vitamins normally confuse the issue by saying stuff like that. You're just going to end up with expensive urine. Now, let's take a look at Airborne. What does it have? Vitamin C, echinacea, zinc, vitamin A, and then their main thing was, oh, it's too much vitamin A. Okay, if you eat a steak with your Airborne, the Airborne is fat soluble, so there goes your theory about being too much vitamin A. If you eat a salad with a whole bunch of olive oil on it, boom, you've solved your vitamin A problem. And point blank, nobody has ever died from vitamins. Nobody. As the claim goes, I don't think anybody's gotten sick from vitamins too. But they have gotten plenty sick from pharmaceutical drugs. Now, is there anything, no, I'm not trying to promote Airborne or anything like that, but I'm trying to enlighten you as to these topics. That the medical community is against you taking vitamins. But a hospital will put a pregnant woman, as soon as she comes in the door, a pregnant woman will be on vitamins and electrolytes. They know what works, and they can't be killing off people left and right in the hospital. Not left and right, maybe just a little left. But you understand what I'm saying? They know what works. They put people on electrolytes and vitamins when they come through the door, right when they come through the door. But when they're talking, they'll be anti-vitamin. What do they want? They want you beholden to to Western medicine, that somehow it works. And Western medicine is basically pharmaceutical medicine, right? And we know there's a very tragic case against pharmaceutical medicine, that so many people die. So many people die from prescribed. There is an overprescription rate in the United States, that people are being overprescribed medicines, people are also there's a high rate of addiction for pharmaceutical drugs. Can't get addicted to vitamins. Anyway, thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show. I would say take zinc and you take your vitamins. Just take vitamins. And make sure it's the expensive kind that says it's raw, that says it's almost 100% bioavailable, that sort of stuff. Not the stuff that you get at Walgreens, not the stuff that you get this at CVS or Walmart. Although it says nature made, no, don't go by the name brand of the thing. Look at the actual stuff. And more than likely, it's going to be expensive. All right. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.